It is still a sin.
We are. And we always will be.
Sinners.
The movie opens with Detective Lois Tryon jolted awake from a nightmare about a burning curtain before she's immediately called out to a murder scene. And as she steps inside, she finds something unlike anything she's dealt with before. The Burnside family, a mother who worked as a nutritionist, and their 3 kids have all been brutally murdered inside their own home. And it's immediately obvious this wasn't a robbery or random attack. The bodies are deliberately posed together at the dinner table, arranged like some kind of twisted family meal, which tells Lois right away that whoever did this wanted it to be found exactly like that, staged on purpose to send a message. As it turns out, a neighbor only called the police because classical music was blaring from the house in the middle of the night, which is what tipped police off that something was wrong. This is important to understand early on. This isn't a killer who just wants people dead. This is someone using ritual, humiliation, and religious imagery to make a statement. Meanwhile, at the crime scene, Lois meets a nun named Sister Megan, who also happens to work as a journalist for a religious publication called The Catholic Guardian. And here's why this matters. Megan isn't just there out of curiosity. Nun journalists showing up at active crime scenes is not normal, and the show plants an early seed of suspicion around her right from this first meeting. Because as she talks with Lois, she seems to know disturbingly specific details about the crime.
You think the Burnsides were murdered ritually. How do you know that?
Their priest is a friend of mine.
At one point, she even correctly names the exact classical song that was playing at the crime scene, without anyone telling her what it was, which briefly makes Lois wonder if she's talking to the killer herself. But Megan brushes it off, saying she just has a strong intuition about these things. While all this is unfolding, Lois is also dealing with a lot personally. Her husband Marshall is in the hospital in a long-term coma. Her relationship with her teenage daughter Merritt is strained, and Lois herself has a serious drinking problem, one that's clearly affecting how she processes everything happening around her. As she visits the hospital, she also clashes with Marshall's nurse, a woman named Red, who seems to have an unusually personal attachment to him.
Is going on in here?
I'm giving your poor husband a sponge
Which feels
bath.
less like a nurse being professional, and more like someone who knows something Lois doesn't. Later that same night, as Lois makes her way home, a homeless man stops her in the street, warning her that the end is near, and that he intends to kill her and everyone else. At this point in the story, it's unclear if he's connected to the real killer, or just a random unstable person. That's where things stand, as episode 1 comes to a close. As episode 2 picks up, we get more background on Lois and Marshall's marriage before all of this happened. We learn Marshall has been having an affair, something Lois already suspected, and had been having him followed over. So this wasn't some sudden discovery. This was something she'd been quietly investigating on her own for a while.
You've been lying to me for quite a while.
Ed, you don't know what you're saying.
I had you follow.
I still love you sometimes.
And yet I pray sometimes that I would get a phone call informing me that you died.
I hope you don't regret those words.
And their relationship is clearly falling apart, showing just how far things had deteriorated between them even before he ended up in the hospital. Back in the present, more bodies turn up, and as Lois digs into the evidence, she tracks down a lead through blood found near the Burnside crime scene, which points to a man named Sullivan Furcus, a former organ trafficker who had recently been released from prison. So Lois pulls together a SWAT team, since if this lead is right, whoever they're about to find is dangerous. But when they reach his house, they discover Furcus has actually been dead for weeks already, which immediately flips the entire theory on its head. This wasn't their guy waiting to be caught. This was a dead end someone wanted them to find. His body was deliberately left behind as a trophy or a warning, not a fresh kill. And disturbingly, his elderly mother is found alive, but posed like a religious icon inside the house. meant to look like the Virgin Mary. Next to the body, they also find a note signed simply, Grotesquerie, which is the killer's calling card, and also where the show gets its title. So at this point, Lois finally has a name to work with, even if she has no idea who's actually behind it. Meanwhile, on her own side of the investigation, Sister Megan is pursuing a completely different theory. She believes the murders are tied to Satanism, and that someone inside her own church congregation could even be responsible, while Lois isn't fully convinced, since she has a gut feeling the killer's motive is something more personal than that. Around this same time, we're introduced properly to Father Charlie, a young priest that Sister Megan has a close relationship with. As they talk, he admits to her that he's a die-hard true crime fan, and even names a real notorious killer as his personal favorite, which the show clearly plants as a red flag rather than just a quirky detail. Later that night, alone in his room, we see a different side of him. He's clearly punishing himself privately for guilt he's never told anyone about, not even the church, which strongly signals he's hiding some kind of serious repressed trauma and puts him high on the list of possible suspects going forward. Meanwhile, an exhausted Lois hands her daughter, Merritt, a strange puzzle box that was recovered from one of the crime scenes, hoping she can figure out how to open it, since Merritt has always been good with puzzles. But Merritt can't crack it that night, so it gets set aside unsolved for now. Later, as Lois dozes off on the couch, she's suddenly startled awake when her record player skips out of nowhere. She grabs her gun and checks the house, convinced someone might be inside with her. But after finding nothing, she gives up and goes to bed anyway, left with the unsettling feeling that she is being watched. And that's where episode 2 leaves us, with a killer who has a name but no face, a nun who knows a little too much, a priest hiding a very dark secret, and a detective, as the days go on, is starting to believe this entire nightmare might be personal to her specifically. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more recaps like this.